Hello, my name's Kai, and this is my research. I believe it's called. One second, I'll just check. My research review. I'm basically just going to say, quickly log back into Moodle. Say what, what I have done. This is obviously the YouTube version. So to start with, to review my research, the first link on here. You'll be able to see my screen, and hopefully that'll help you understand what I'm trying to talk about. Is a set of tutorials by Echo 607 on the Game Engine RPG Maker. This is at the point of the project where I was going to make a game in RPG Maker, and these tutorials are actually really useful. I show a couple of ones here. This tutorial shows you advanced techniques and how to zoom in on characters, and that were really useful in the when I was looking into how the RPG or how RPGs traditional JRPGs and how they function, and how that the camera motion and then zooming in on a character and it being more dynamic than just showing someone attack over and over again. That actually helped me massively figuring out how to do stuff like that. The next one, again, from the stage of development where it was going to be a game in RPG Maker. The next two are actually. The next one explains how to make simple puzzles, basically around pushing blocks onto platforms. Again, that's just helps me with the concept side of creating puzzles, because puzzles are a pretty big deal in most RPGs and JRPGs, and without having them, then it wouldn't really, although it would still be a JRPG, it wouldn't feel right. The next one explains quest systems, and not the writing side, as that's more storytelling, but this is more the functional side. In the test game I made to demonstrate essentially these mechanics, I should probably have pulled that up, but oh well. Actually, I do have a copy right here of the test game. I'll just boot that up right now. Vamping while it waits for it to load. And basically, so these are these triggers here, and it was basically explaining if I put in a variable, the variable here in this case would be quest 5 part 2 would swap the variable to a second state, and then that would continue the quest onwards. So this is a quest with transparency off, would do some dialogue, add the party member, and then also complete a quest via a variable. But in this case, it's the party member being added is the variable that would complete that quest. And that's the piece of work I did on that. The next piece of research is on the game Hotline Miami. Now, this again is part of the RPG Maker kind of thing I was looking into, but sorry about that. Basically, in this case, I was looking for so basically I was like, I want to make a game. These developers have made games before. It's a little bit of a documentary talking about the developer and the publisher, and how they actually think the game revolves around a lot of blood and guts, and instead of making it's pretty graphic, honestly, but that's not because of the art style. The art style is pretty minimalistic pixel art, but because it leaves it to your imagination, you see that and you realize that's why it's more gruesome. They say it's more like the Hitchcock effect. So in designs, don't go overboard, because if you go overboard, then it's just cluttered and it won't look good. The next one I'll bring up. A second. Is a graph that I actually found while browsing Reddit, not even looking for something, but I feel like it actually is pretty useful to show the state of games in this industry. So the first one here basically says what platform is the most used. And at the moment it's consoles, but computers are actually a growing market right now. And then out of those game systems, the PS4 has the greatest market share at the moment. And people were saying, is Nintendo still relevant? So that's interesting, because if it wasn't, then it wouldn't be very good to market for that platform or even release on that platform. And you see here, so what is a fair price for a console game and a PC game? So most people for a PC and console game would pay up to $29, so $30, which is about £15-ish, maybe a bit more, £20 maybe. Although up to $40 is actually still fairly common, and they're fine with that. They were looking at annual video game budgets, so only like $20 to $99 is like the annual budget, which is honestly pretty small if you think about it. That's 2, maybe 3 games. If you're buying them, on sale, maybe more, or if you're buying them secondhand, maybe more. But brand new, like at this fair price, like 2 to 3 games. So making your game actually stand out is actually really difficult if you think about like stuff like that. So where are people buying games? Well, the majority is online, and that honestly doesn't surprise me because it's so convenient, and there's way more exclusive to online than there are in brick and mortar stores. So what people want to play, which would you prefer, a remake or an all new game? Now, people want new games. They don't want to be playing the exact same game over and over and over again, because it's not enjoyable. Now, at the moment, massively multiplayer games seem to be like no one wants to play them, although that's the way that the industry seems to be shifting. The next one is, which matters more, the story or the gameplay? Well, we found out that the story means very little in compared to the gameplay. You need a solid game for the story to even, have relevance to stand on its own footing. So, again, gameplay wins out. And that's that piece. Then next I performed a survey, and these are results I got. So I asked people their age, and 17 seems to be the overwhelming, number. Next, I asked, do people enjoy these classic style RPG, Final Fantasy, Pokemon, Dragon's Quest? They also all seem to like them, or most of them did. It appears like 4 people who didn't. I was asking, how do they feel in comedy? Does comedy have a place in games? And it seems that everyone other than 3 people said yes again. So there's some overlap with the people who don't like those RPGs with the comedy. So maybe they like RPGs to be more serious, or games in general to be more serious. Would you play a game if it was very self-referential? The South Park game is an example, and it's surprisingly a lot of people actually said no to that question, even though they said yes to the others. And a lot of people went with the yes if it's done tastefully, which I completely understand, because if you blow it out too much, it's pointless. Now, the end one actually surprised me the most, because it kind of goes against the data that we saw earlier, because I threw a third category in. So maybe if I would have removed graphics, gameplay would have won overall, but it appears that gameplay and graphics are about the same, which is pretty surprising to me, honestly. Alright. The next one I went on to is some screenshots of the research I've used, and I've gone back to these videos while drawing. Let me open this one up quickly. So this is just how to draw let me mute that video. This is how to draw a male body, and this was very useful in actually doing my art. So I actually have open in 1 second. It's somewhere in here. I believe it is in the work folder. Would seem about right. There we go. So I believe this is the work. Alright, so this is the male body I drew. in my stylized fashion. So like bigger arms, like smaller stature, but like meant to be obviously overwhelming, and a larger head for this manga like cartoony style of art with an axe that I came up with the design. It's pretty it's like a pretty normal looking axe to me, but and then you can see like the worst part that I'm like, I'll say it, is I'm bad at extremities. I'm bad at hands and feet. Like that's the worst part. But using the angle that he was saying about the feet, aiming them out actually really helped. And there are guidelines, but you can't see them because I've rubbed them out like a lot. Like the big thing is the arms positioning, not making them too long. I feel like that's a pretty like good spot for the arms to be. Again, I took photos of myself standing. I think I have one of those. Do I? I think they're in here somewhere. Yes, well, essentially these photos here of me standing kind of helped me make a guideline. Oh, went out of the thing. Alright, next, the female body. Again, I have I believe this one's a female. It doesn't really matter which one I pull up. Yeah, that's one. Is the one that's a bit better to show with. Yeah, this one's better. I think this one shows it off a bit better. So this is one of the other characters, Lucius. And this kind of shows the scale of the weapon to the character. The getting the curvature of the body right in comparison to the males, because the males is more broad here. It goes into more of a line here instead of the natural, like somewhat hourglass curve to the coat and body in general. Being slightly shorter than the male, in the game she would be, and having again short hair, so it's not, this is a short-haired female kind of thing. And I think that you can see that part apart from the male. And then this is the like farmer character in like all overalls and like pretty young in comparison to the rest, like a more younger, youthful character with like longer hair and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I felt for that character. So I used you can kind of see here, it might be a bit small, but I actually using images from the character Garen from League of Legends to model the I have this open, so to model the male off of, because his armor is a mixture between traditional medieval, Garen's from League of Legends, characters from such animes like Full Metal Alchemist, like Alphonse from that anime, and just general like medieval anime armor from like those fantasy games. Let's move on to the next part, shall we? The next is, so what pencils are good for shading, and this is kind of how to draw an anime eye, which I used a lot. I've used a lot of eyes before, so it's not the hardest thing for me to do, but I'm not the best at eyes. So this is like what pencils are good for shading, which you might not think about if you don't do a lot of art, but like it's actually pretty important. I have a set of I think they're just like granite pencils. Yeah, some granite. Yeah, I think they're like charcoal or something, actually, or maybe lead, I'm not sure. But like I use a B or a B2 for shading generally. It's very for light shading, and then as you can see, it moves on to like a 4 and a B and a 4B and a 6B for more like softer edges. It's just, I don't know really how to explain it, but it actually came in very useful. So this video explains for digital coloring over a piece of art that already had shading, which I used a bit, and I feel like it's not the most useful one that I've used, but that's definitely come in handy. And then this one is for doing digital coloring, and surprising how much I learnt from that video. I'll just bring up Photoshop right now and turn on these LEDs here. So I'll take you through it one at a time. Actually, that's probably a better idea. So I started over here with the left arm, and so the first thing I did was I did line art for the left arm, and I did it in two sections: the hand and the upper arm. And so that was very simple. And then I added the color, and the video basically explains that you want to have a good base. Let me just turn off these highlights. You want to have a good base for your color. So this is it's like a gunmetal kind of color. It's a bluey gray I'm using, and there's a darker piece here, and then some down here. I left the highlights on, that's why it looks like that. Then we moved on to, I'll just turn the highlights, and then I put a darker color over the top of these to allow the shadow to drop, and that's basically what I forgot the term now. My brain is not working. Basically, it goes in the video to say that there's a term in 3D modeling that basically does the same thing, and then I just apply the same kind of effect to the other pieces. Obviously, I haven't finished this yet, and this is still, under construction, let's say. I also have a palette over here. I'll just turn it on. And basically, that is, he goes on to say in the video that a palette's really useful, and you wouldn't believe actually how much it comes in handy. Basically, I pick the colors out for darker areas and shadows, and then the browns via looking at like leather and stuff. I actually created a time-lapse video that'll be releasing as part of, like, I don't know, just something to show you guys, and for the college work as well. And this is kind of me showing how I did it, but basically I looked at like leather pieces and got up, I think I have an image, a flesh tone guide. Of course it's going to load on the wrong monitor now. Let me just drag that over here. Ooh, I've lost it now. Wow, I actually full on lost it. Alright, let me find it. Here we go. Ooh, did I crash? Oh, no. Ooh. Wow, that photo did not like being opened. I might be having some issues. He may be overheating slightly. Where's my mouse? There we go. Finally got to be able to drag it across. And this is basically a flesh tone guide to demonstrate like what type of tones I should use in this work. Alright. Whenever I put my mouse onto this application, it really does slow down slightly. There we go, let's close that. Alright. Okay. So, what could I have improved in my research terms? Well, bringing this back up, I feel like the research I've done for the games weren't that useful, because moving on, not to be making a game, but for the time they were actually extremely useful and helpful for what I was doing. I feel like I could have perhaps put down more research that I was doing, because honestly I was doing a lot of research and not really realizing it was research, and by the time I realized, I not have marked it down. Like looking up simple things like how to rotate a canvas in Photoshop or how to set up a Wacom tablet. I should have looked those up, but I didn't think, and that would have been more helpful. I feel like I could have improved on some of the videos that I found. Like this one's not the best, but I feel like it is useful still. Again, this one's not the best again, but again, useful. Placing down more images, I should have done that. I feel like those could definitely be improved. And the next part is, what research do you wish you would have conducted, and why do you think it would have helped? For that, I feel like more research on art, honestly. Oh, I forgot this video down here actually about this is digital coloring. This was really helpful, but this was more for a Wacom Cintiq, and I'm using a Bamboo. So again, helpful, but not necessarily the most helpful. What I could have improved on though is, I mean, what research do you wish you would have conducted, and why do I think it'd help? More on art, like I wish I would have got out books and read about like human bodies and how to draw them and like anatomy stuff, because I'm still not the best at doing extremis, and I feel like I could have improved even just by drawing more as well, like doing a lot of drawing just casually to try and improve that, that kind of art, that style, like to actually make them anatomically correct and make them actually look like fingers. I'm not the best at feet and fingers, and that's definitely something you can probably tell if you look at any of my art, because I generally go with faces only because I just prefer to draw that. I wish also I would have got more stuff out about colours and what worked well together. And I understand basic colour theory in terms that, certain colours work well together. Oranges and blues, because they're opposites, actually work really well together. And browns and like a gunmetal kind of colour look really well together as well, as you can see in this piece here. Like the brown and the silver go really well together because of what they are, and I feel like that's like kind of how I should think about this more. And honestly, that's kind of it for what research I wish I'd done, is like colour theory and autonomy. Anyway. Okay. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you, and bye.